How's it going, everybody? I'm so glad you're here, and today we're going to be talking about Hurry Up Tomorrow, directed by Trey Edward Schultz and starring Abel Tesfaye, Jenna Ortega, and Barry Keoghan. A musician plagued by insomnia is pulled into an odyssey with a stranger who begins to unravel the very core of his existence. So this film's been out for a couple weeks now at this point. I actually saw it last week, but I've hesitated talking about it until a couple days ago when I put my written review on Cinemasters, because I really wanted to take some time and really understand why I was feeling what I was feeling, and also make sure that I was really sure about what I was feeling, because this film is a bit of an enigma. Overall, I think it's kind of abysmal, unfortunately, but there are things about it that are undeniably pretty spectacular, and I want to talk about why that is, and why I think people are kind of unnecessarily shifting a lot of blame towards The Weeknd while also not blaming him for the things that they should be, as well as just talk about my hope for him in the future as an artist, considering his whole rebrand thing is happening right now. Trey Edward Schultz, as I mentioned, is the director and the editor, and Chase Irvin is the cinematographer, and these are the two people that really come close to saving this film. Chase Irvin also DP'd Spike Lee's BlacKkKlansman and the visual album for Beyonce's Lemonade. And you kind of get tastes of both of those projects in this, if you can believe it. Trey Edward Schultz and Chase Irvin actually utilize a lot of really, really long, well-staged and beautifully choreographed longs in this movie. The camera is almost always moving, and it never feels like it shouldn't be moving. It's very dynamic, it's visually gorgeous, it looks absolutely stunning. There were a couple of shots in this film that did take my breath away. It would help if there were any thematic purposes for the imagery that we were looking at on occasion, because this film does get a little bit surrealist, but it did look pretty, and that's something that I can't deny. And I was very impressed on a lot of the technicalities in this film, and a lot of that has to do with Trey Edward Schultz and Chase Irvin. Trey Edward Schultz is known for his sharp cutting. His cutting isn't always quick, but when he does cut, you feel it. You feel every single angle change, you feel every single smash cut, jump cut, everything. And this film, his editing is at its most frenetic, and I do think that helps a lot of the surrealist elements in the film, but it can be a hindrance sometimes, especially when contrasting a lot of the long takes and the wide angle cinematography as well. These ideas don't really mesh all the time. Now, if you ever want a lesson in how good films are a collaborative process between every single department bringing their all into something, if you ever want a lesson into how if one department fails, everybody fails, doesn't matter how great anything is, look no further than Hurry Up Tomorrow. Because as I said, the directing and the cinematography and a lot of the editing is very, very good. And Jenna Ortega in this film is spectacular, mostly because she's the one with the least amount of dialogue to say, so it doesn't hinder her performance too much. However, the script and the pacing of this film are beyond atrocious, and it tanks quite literally everything else around it. A lot of the technicalities, like I said, in this film are great, but solely great technicalities does not a great film make. As I mentioned at the start of this video, the synopsis says a musician struggling with insomnia meets a strange stranger who pulls him on an odyssey through whatever. It's the official synopsis of the movie. And baseline, a lot of that can be interpreted as true, but we don't see a lot of it. As far as The Weeknd struggling with insomnia, we don't get any of that. There's one scene where there's a celebrity party in the Hollywood Hills, and it cuts to The Weeknd in his room. Some woman is asleep naked in his bed, and the camera pans to the edge of the room, and he's crying in a bathrobe, smoking a cigarette, playing a piano melody on a keyboard. And that's almost as pathetic of an image as you think it is when you're watching it. It's somehow even worse when you watch it. But that is really the only thing that you can interpret as him having insomnia. And even that's a stretch. You get, like I said, quick cutting when he's on stage and he kind of loses his balance and he gets tired and almost faints, but we're never clued into his internal struggles in that regard. He has a girlfriend who's left him at the start of this because he's such a horrible person, like every single song in his catalog wants to remind you, and his character is obsessed with calling her a million times, and every time he does this, he kind of falls into this drug trippy sort of trance out of 2001: A Space Odyssey. And not a lot of these ideas are communicated very well. They're either too abstract to be communicated thematically, or they're so on the nose that there's no need for them to be communicated thematically. I think the film thinks it's significantly more subtle and well understanding of its own ideas than it actually is. Abel co-wrote this with Trey Edward Schultz, as well as Razia Fahim, I hope that that's how you say his name, from The Idol. The same team from The Idol, minus the Euphoria guy. I don't No, Sam Levinson. I was about to say I don't know his name and I don't plan to look it up, but Sam Levinson. I think he just needs to depart from these guys because, especially Razia Fahim, because it suffers from a lot of the same narcissistic, borderline sociopathic, hubris-oriented issues that The Idol does. Not as severely, but almost more cringeworthy. And a lot of that comes from just innocent inexperience in the writer's room, as Abel has, but the more and more the film progresses, the more damning the narcissism gets until it becomes legitimately unwatchable in the final 30 minutes. It tries to do a spin on Misery with him and Jenna Ortega's character, but it's just 20 minutes of Jenna Ortega playing The Weeknd's songs while lecturing him about what a great artist he is and the impact he has on the world. And I kind of see what Abel was trying to go for. I don't think the narcissism in this movie is necessarily malignant, but it's damn apparent. And it's really painful to sit through at points. Also, The Weeknd is just not that great of an actor in this movie. I don't think he's a bad actor. He was great in Uncut Gems, even though his role was very minuscule, but he had a good script there that serviced him. He doesn't give the worst performance in this movie, though. Barry Keoghan is astoundingly bad in this film. It really makes you wonder whether it was him in all of the other great performances he's given or some form of evil twin. But like I said, the script isn't doing him a lot of favors, but every time he opens his mouth, it's cringeworthy. Every single physicality move he does is cringeworthy. I admire the commitment, but next to none, if not none of it, works. Also, I mentioned earlier, the pacing is atrocious. It takes about 45 to 50 minutes for The Weeknd and Jenna Ortega to be introduced. And prior to that, the film is kind of reduced to just 5-minute-long concert venue sequences of The Weeknd performing entire songs fully off of his discography. The entire soundtrack of the movie is either his discography or instrumentals of his lyrical songs, adding to that narcissism. Or it's Jenna Ortega walking into various abandoned homes and burning them down and missing calls from her mother. We never get any resolution to this backstory. We never get any more information about her character. We just see that that's what she's doing. And the final shots of the film do offer a bit of a thematic purpose, but it's all just to serve The Weeknd and his rebrand and a tie into his visual album. It's not serving Jenna Ortega or her character. It's all in service of him, which I think is the greater part here. Because a lot of people are blaming him for just everything bad in this movie. And he's not to blame for everything bad in this movie, except for the fact that he's servicing himself and not the film. That's what I think people are missing here. Abel clearly wants to be great and is trying to be great and is trying to expand his horizons to different art forms. It's just right now, on his second outing trying film or TV or whatever, he thinks he's great, and he's got a long way to go, and he also needs to get a therapist and ditch some of that narcissism. And then I think I could really see a project of his about his grief or his demons or whatever actually being something really profound. But for now, I thought Hurry Up Tomorrow was a thoroughly disappointing experience that I have no desire to see again. And I'm sad to say that because I love most people involved in this project. I love The Weeknd, I love Trey Edward Schultz, I love Jenna Ortega, I love Barry Keoghan. Everybody in this film and involved in this film is exceptionally talented. It's just, I think, their intentions here were incredibly misguided. I'm going to be giving Hurry Up Tomorrow a 2 out of 10. I wonder if you guys have seen this film and what your thoughts are, because it's been out for a little while already, so if you've seen it, let me know down below in the comment section. If you haven't seen it, I still recommend you check it out. I've seen a few people find something to enjoy in this. I just don't happen to be one of them, but if you do, let me know. Thank you guys again for watching. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.